This episode of Telling Our Stories is sponsored by SayItInACard.com. If you feel it, we say it in a card. Visit us today, www.sayItInACard.com. SayItInACard.com is an online greeting card company that delivers right to your front door. Visit our website, www.sayItInACard.com. You can read the cards, order the cards, and we ship them directly to you. If you feel it, we say it in a card. We have breakup cards, troubled relationship cards, troubled friendship cards, and of course, all of the traditional cards as well, from birthday to Mother's Day. So again, visit us at www.sayItInACard.com. Free shipping for a limited time. Previously on Telling Our Stories.
What about my family? What about my spirituality?
Yes.
What about, then all the guilt came in, the shame and all of that.
That has an impact on how we move in the community. Typically, you stay away from a guy who's extremely feminine.
Those were 4 years where I was sexually assaulted consistently, right? I don't know if I thought about anything about boy on boy before that. I never came out to my parents. I remember my grandmother, I was like in the 7th grade, and she was like on her way to about to pass away, and she said to me, don't live your life being afraid to join the world, or something she said like that. I couldn't remember what it was, but she said like, don't live your life like that. I couldn't think of it, and then one day she said in front of the family like, and y'all leave me alone when I'm not here. And that, I never felt the need to come out after that. So like, I would bring guys around or something like that when I was like a teenager. They wouldn't ask, because they just knew they didn't need a statement.
Grandma said not to fuck with you.
Right.
But I wanted to go back to, I think, Monica, you said that your mother or grandmother didn't.
Grandmother was sure. Because I wanted to
somebody didn't, your grandmother accepted you, but I think you said you didn't have that same experience.
No, my mom accepted me, but it was still a challenge for me to come out to her friends.
So what I was going to say was, I think usually, like, typically, if the woman in your life that raised you, whether it was your grandmother, your mother, if that person accepts you, usually you really don't.
You take on the world.
You don't care about anybody else.
You give no fucks after that.
You really don't.
Well, it was more important for me, my grandmother, even though I was raised, I had a two-parent household, but it was more important to me that my grandmother accepted me than my mother did. Because I'm like, once grandmama did, I didn't care whether my mother did or not. Because she gonna do what my grandmama tell her to do. So
because my mother called my grandmother and said, well, Craig told me he was gay. She said, okay, Ann, I'm still gonna love him, aren't you? My grandmother said that to my mother. So have you accepted yourself? We spent a lot of time talking about whether or not other people accepted us, but have you fully accepted yourself? So is everybody completely transparent in every aspect of your life, whether it's work, family?
Well, I have a thing. Why do you have to tell people?
I do. Because you do the he, she, them, they thing.
I don't do that. However, when we got married, I was intentional about that. At work, I put the picture up. I hyphenated the last name because I wanted everybody to know something has changed. I wear the ring. I talk about the experience because you need to know my life is just as important as yours. Because I also went through the period where I hid.
Right.
So I wanted
when you
to
come
make
into work,
sure,
you talk about what you did with your husband over the weekend.
Right. And so I was clear about that. But I don't know if it was, it definitely was an outward, appearance, but I also wanted to make sure that I was being true to who I am. I didn't want to not hide myself because I did it for so long.
Right.
Well, I think mine is more like I don't care what the people at work have going on, so I don't really share. Now, if they ask, I will tell. But I don't give a fuck about the people I work with.
That's right.
I'm with Sam. I was about to say, why do y'all feel like y'all have to tell people y'all business? I'm gay. Why is that important? As you just said, heterosexual and walk around saying, well, I'm heterosexual. Why do you have to be transparent? That's my business. If I'm that close to you and you want to know, then I'll tell you.
Right.
If I feel the need to tell you. I don't understand
I'm
why
not hiding, but
gay people have to feel like they have to always make a representation. I'm gay. Why?
I can speak to at least from my experience. So grew up with my grandmother raised me, grew up. My family has the key to the church, so new church. We got the key to the church today. went into the military, dated women. A lot of my friends, even today, are from the military. And when I came out, so I was older, and most of my friends at that point were from the military, straight. My grandmother had passed, so I didn't have any parents, so they were really, my friends and military family were really important to me, and my biological family, my aunts, those people, I held them close because I didn't have parents, and so I knew something was changing or had changed. When I had the experience, I was like, I made the decision, this is the experience, this is it, I'm clear. And I went through the period of ensuring I did the mental work, being okay with myself. I did all that. And I felt like the last thing to do was to be clear with people that I had given another version of myself. I need to be clear with these people that I care about. And so I didn't, but what I did do, and people, my family and friends sometimes joke with me about the way I did it. I didn't want to have 100 individual conversations. So this was, emails were big. So I just sent one email to everybody.
I love it.
And it wasn't, but the email wasn't just about coming out. It was about coming into, really.
Come on.
It was. Although most people pulled out the coming out, it was really coming into something different. And I wanted everybody to be clear about what it was.
Right. Did you feel vindicated?
I don't know that
I've arrived, like, get it, bitch.
Yeah, I mean, I did that. Yeah, but I felt.
A weight lifted off.
Yeah,
I didn't. Just being true.
Yeah, right. I didn't have to hide any aspect of myself. I was clear with everybody, and because I had built a life where certain people knew pieces, and then at some point you forget who know what.
And you get tired.
You really do.
Being a chameleon.
It was too much. So I was just like, let me make this easy on myself. I'm one way all the way.
That's exhausting.
So in terms of and then I went through every aspect of my life. So at work, it's like, I'm just gonna be me. Yeah. Period. So that's where, for me, it was like, it's easier just to be. It is. In every aspect of my life.
I totally understand that. But even in dating men, I didn't share that I was dating this guy.
Okay.
So so I totally understand that.
Right.
But everything that I do is just, I'm doing me.
Right.
So either you know or you don't. Right. But it's not that I make a point of.
One thing that I would say is, I think that what we're experiencing is, it's okay to have the experience you want. Right. You got to figure that out for yourself.
Correct.
You got to carve that out for yourself. Nobody's experience is going to be the same. There's
no one way to do it.
That's right.
There's no one way to do it.
There isn't.
Yeah.
Because it's funny, because I know one job forever, I was just very quiet. I never shared anything personal. And my coworkers were like, you didn't do anything this week? And I would laugh and I would tell Sam, I said, they really feel sorry for me. Like, they don't think that I have this whole
Meanwhile, he had
life.
this full gay life over the weekend.
And they would be jealous if they knew what you did.
And so now I have made a very conscious effort to be very transparent. They know that I'm married. They know that, I share to who I want to share, what I did over the weekend. And so now, because I didn't want to walk around having people feel sorry for me for no reason whatsoever. But it was because I wasn't comfortable within my own skin to trust these people and to just be open and honest. And now that I've done it, I just feel it's just a weight, just totally lifted.
Yeah, like I played the I played the pronoun game. I did.
As if that isn't a telltale.
Going back to the pronoun game, Wendell, I met some of my closest girlfriends, through work. And one of my really, really, really good, girlfriends, Stephanie, all this time I was dating Steve, and then Steve broke up with me and I'm devastated, and it was like, I owe it to her to tell the truth because I really need to lean on her now.
Right.
And I remember calling her on the phone, just crying, and I was like, Steve is really Sophie. Steve is, and and she didn't care, but it takes a lot of mental energy and gymnastics to live that type, to do all of that. It's a lot.
No, but part of what we're talking about too is what I recognized is these are friends, people I'm close to, and I've been lying to them.
Exactly.
So I owe them the truth. So for me, that it was more about, showing up authentically and undoing the lies that I had told for so long. I've had the some of these. So my two best men were straight guys from the military, and I've had some beautiful experiences after coming out. But I've also had moments. I've had some friends who didn't forgive me for lying.
Oh wow.
That's and I have to own it because I played the game. So for me it was again more about being intentional about who I am, how I want to live my life, what that represents, and being honest about it in the best in most honest way I can. Because sometimes it's hard. It's hard it was hard coming out at work. It was like, that was the hardest.
But the question then becomes, is it harder to come out or to stay trapped in that closet and do that mental
gymnastics? At that point, it was harder.
It was
To stay in the closet.
Work is the easiest because I don't really, I see them 9 to 5, but I didn't really care what they
But like I'd be on calls and I would withhold information, or I would play the pronoun game, and then it was hard pushing past that and saying the right saying he as opposed to she. And that was hard for me.
I think y'all just have it hard. I think y'all had it harder because, like, for me, and since I've been working and I've been out, it's never been we have to hide. It's always been open and free. Like, hey, what you and your partner did this weekend? Or, hey, like, even all across the board. So, like, I'm just listening to all the conversations. And, like you said, you came out through email to your family and stuff like that. I think the hardest part now is getting the backlash of not just telling us, not the actual part of coming out. Because it's just like, we know, so why you didn't say that or why you lied. So I relate to you on the part where you was like, people was saying you had to unfold the lies and stuff. So I definitely relate to that part, but it was just like, I never experienced that. Like, I never experienced any backlash or any hard parts of, like, I have to come out to my coworkers, or it's like now companies like, hey, how can we help your community now? Or what do we need to do?
That's what I was going to say. We didn't have examples.
They paved the way.
There were no examples. I didn't know when I came out, or when I started having feelings, like, I feel something. Like, everybody talks about the moment they knew. For me, it was Erica Estrada on Chips. When I saw, I would feel some sort of way. I'd be like, ooh, Go Google Chips. Erica Estrada.
Coming up next on Telling Our Stories.
I saw a video on TikTok where a woman was actually saying, the trans women need to stop taking their men. And I was just like appalled. I'm like, can't nobody take what's not yours. So how is that possible?
When I released my first book, I remember thinking very heavily about Elon Harris and how he did it, how he managed to reach millions of people around the world through his work, and how I would do it. His readers became my readers. I write because it's my passion. I write with Black people on my mind and Black gay men in my heart. Toni Morrison gave me the courage to say that out loud.
Yes, I can write about white people. White people can write about Black people. Anything can happen in art. There are no boundaries there.
I could write about anything, anyone, but I choose to write about our experience.
And I've spent my entire writing life trying to make sure that the white gaze was not the dominant one in any of my books.
Book of Jewels is my love letter to black people.
It has nothing to do with who reads the books. Everyone, I hope, of any race, any gender, any country.
Book of Jewels is 11 of the biggest life lessons that I've learned to date, and the stories behind those lessons. Book of Jewels is available now on Audible, all e-readers, and Amazon.com. Visit www.CraigTheWriterStewart.com for more information.
Not so being able to or needing to hide it, but more so it being erased from who I am. Like a lot of times because I am bisexual and because of my aesthetic or because of how people perceive me, it's perceived as I don't have this like part of my identity. And so even when I am honest about it, it's like, okay, well, like she's not with someone like who's the opposite sex, who's the same sex, so it doesn't really matter. We see her with opposite sex because that's what's available to her, so that's what we're going to associate her with. So I found myself a lot of times figuring out, okay, am I with this person? Most times because it's what's available to me in terms of men, even though I would really want to be with a woman, but they also don't think that I'm attracted to them. So how do I stand on this brand of being who I am and just being honest, but like knowing that that's not being accepted or believable, if that makes sense.
Do you mean like the lesbians weren't accepting you as lesbian?
Yeah.
So they were saying like, oh no, we don't think you're a lesbian, you need to go back to men.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they felt like they saw you with a man, so they weren't. Okay, I get that.
Yeah.
Are those lesbians your age?
No, usually it's older.
Because I was going to say, it's the older generation that has an issue with it.
Exactly.
Correct. It's the older generation. 'Cause I'm very true to I like what I like. Right. And I date one at a time. Everybody assumes you got to be dating them both.
That you're non-committal because you're bisexual.
I'm dating one or the other.
Right.
My preference is women.
Yeah.
And I actually tend to find that it's more of, I've had this long-term relationship with a woman, then I'll go get my old boyfriend just to
balance
right. It's like I don't have to commit to the man, but it's something to do like when you break up with a woman, you don't have to become emotionally attached to the man.
Right.
But I can go out and date, enjoy his company, without being committed.
So just kind of
I feel more emotionally committed to women.
A man as a rebound.
That time filler.
I know.
So kind of like the gays use Jack and Grindr when they come out of a relationship.
So like this, the woman you date, and the man you date, do they have any similarities? Do you pick different, like more masculine and?
No, not necessarily.
Just Russian.
No, that's not true. That's not true. But I don't like machismo men. I don't like the uber macho. I don't like all of that. I like a man that is respectful. Because my father was super respectful to my mother, but he wasn't uber macho. I like that.
Yeah.
The courtesies, the pull the chair out, all of that good stuff.
The creatives.
The creative. Right.
All right, so I want to kind of move through though, because I got a lot of other stuff that I want to talk about. When I think about DL or down low, I often think about men who live double lives. What is it that you think of? Because women also live double lives too. So what is it that you think of when you think about DL or down low?
Men.
Man, that's the first thing that comes up.
Yeah. But
that's because that's what the title has
We've
been.
been socialized to.
Socialized. But you're right. I mean, it's anybody who's not living their true self.
Yeah. So have you, any of the ladies, have you experienced dating a woman that was DL?
Yeah, that was me. I just told you that story.
Monica just told you.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work.
Do you think it was just
and I wouldn't
sexual?
do it again.
You think it was just sexual for her?
No, I think that's probably why I got cut off. It was beyond,
Is there a different term in the female community? We call it DL on the men's side, but is it called something else?
I don't think we give it a name.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay.
Really, we don't
It definitely has a
that was
category.
a term, as you were saying, was given for black men because white men are not called
Correct.
DL, so
You're
that's
right
corrected.
about that.
That is a term that was stigmatized for black men.
Right.
As Monica's saying, with the woman who came to you and knowing that she was straight, she had I don't want to say a fetish or a desire to play for a minute. So in a term, she was closeted, down low, whatever you want to call it, but she just wasn't clear about it. Yeah. Okay. But there is no term, correct, in the female? Okay.
No term.
Yeah, it's not.
No label.
Is trans identity something that you understand?
No.
Yes.
Yes.
I don't understand all the letters yet. Like the additional letter, I get in trouble with that all the time.
Yeah, I
If
get
you were
in
to
trouble.
say,
Could you go further with
after-
you by trans identity?
I'm missing some letters at the end.
Right. So do you believe that? Do you understand what it is to be trans? Do you think it's a real thing, or do you think people are just kind of?
Definitely a real thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think we don't have to understand it in order to give them basic human dignity. Like, if that's their path and that's what they want to be, just give them basic, respect them, and then let them have their own life. I don't think we have to understand. That's what I don't understand about black people who don't understand gay people. You don't have to understand it. You don't have to walk in it to give people basic life principles of, hi, how are you? Have a good day. Wish you well.
Right.
You don't have to understand somebody's struggle to respect them.
Because you don't understand whiteness.
I wish them well go.
And it's the same thing that black folks expect from white folks. So do you think? So obviously, you're saying that you do believe that people can be born trans.
Well, they feel like they're born in the wrong identity.
Born in the wrong identity. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. And I always, I never understand why folks don't understand it, because people are sometimes born what's known now as intersex, but once upon a time it was called hermaphrodite. And the way that I've always understood it is, if a person can be born with both genitalia on the outside, then surely the quote unquote wires can be crossed on the inside. Yeah. So that's the way I always look at it. Do you think most queer people or gay people, lesbians and gay men, discriminate against trans people? Do you think there's a separation?
I definitely I don't think as much as we
Used to.
Yeah, I agree with that. I definitely think
Right. Because even friendship was kind of undercover.
Yeah.
Like, once upon a time, you didn't necessarily speak to a trans person in the grocery store.
Now I agree with that. Like in the 80s, it was
Well,
them,
the-
those people.
I
know.
Well, they didn't want to be associated.
There was a fear for trans people that they were immolating men or women and trying to do something to children. I've never felt that way, because I was educated by trans people that, they were born and they felt as though they were born in the wrong body. So I do agree with Sam, in the 80s and stuff, there was a stigma that they were evil people. And I hate the word saying they, because that's still putting them in a category instead of saying we're all the same. They're just, their sexuality is a little different in how they look at sex. Because I saw a video on TikTok where a woman was actually saying, the trans women need to stop taking their men. And I was just like appalled. I'm like, can't nobody take what's not yours. So how is that possible?
Transgender people face significant discrimination across much of the globe, and in many countries can be arrested and or subjected to violence if they make themselves known. As a result of these realities, many transgender individuals decline to participate in trans-focused polls or population counts. Even trans-friendly countries are just starting to officially track transgender populations.
What I be seeing in different AHF and different AIDS foundations and stuff like that, sometimes they exclude the trans people from their marketing. Like, it'll just be a gay man and a gay couple. They don't even include a trans couple or trans, so they do exclude the trans from stuff like that.
Right.
I be seeing that a lot.
Now, how soon is too soon for a person or child to transition?
Ooh.
In your opinion?
There's so many laws really out there.
This is going to get good.
I have no opinion. I don't know about this. I have no opinion.
You said what, 18?
So
Under 18.
I think full surgery, you probably, to me, should be 18. But like hormones, I think you should be able to start the hormonal process earlier. Because from what I understand, there's a...
I was going to say, I think for young boys who are who want to transition, I think that there is a benefit for at least trying to, for being on hormones at an earlier age, just because of developmental issues. But but along with that, there has to be a lot of counseling, and to make sure that this is the correct decision, like that this is your permanent,
because the question is, what happens if later you decide
you don't
realize that's not really who I am.
Exactly. That's why I think surgery is, you definitely should hold off on surgery to a much older age. But if this is part of your journey to transition, I do think as far as having more like feminine qualities, with the hormones at an earlier age, you have to start. Because I think Janet Mock is a perfect example. And I've heard her speak how it was easier for her to transition because she started at 16 years old. So she was able to stop certain things that would like the Adam apple growth, her height, she kind of stopped that, studied that, I should say, I guess.
But then how long should you go through counseling before the decision?
With 25, when your brain develops, like I feel like if you're gonna start the hormonal process before 18, you have your parents consulting you, have someone there to support you in that journey. But then at some point there's gonna be a gap, and you still have your brain is still developing, so you still don't really know if that's the decision that you want to make. Yes, you feel that's the decision you want to make, but you don't truly know. So I feel like if the person is eligible and financially has the capacity to have that counseling until 25, they should have that, because that's when your brain is fully developed. That's when your brain is actually able to say, this is what I stand on, and I actually stand on it. I think up until that point, you can know things intuitively, but actually your brain being developed is a whole different process in terms of that timeline. So 18 to 25, I think that you still need guidance, and I think that counseling should still be provided for that.
Next time on Telling Our Stories.
I think whoever I'm with, I'm going to fully satisfy you. I don't care if you are bisexual or not. That's just me personally.
The peace of mind is what's priceless. We think it's the accoutrement and the mate and the partner, but what is bringing you peace of mind? We haven't quite figured that out.
I would definitely choose to be straight. I'm clear about who I am. I'm okay with being who I am. I've accepted it. I'm okay with being black and all that other stuff. But I just believe that if I was straight, if I was born straight, I think I would have had a smoother life. That doesn't mean that straight folks don't have turbulence and all that kind of stuff, but I think I would be married now and probably have 2 or 3 children. Now, I do think on the other side of it, I don't think I would be as creative as I am.